Hi guys, welcome back. It's me, Nick's Morningstar. Let me lower that up a little bit for you guys. And in this video segment today, I again brought notes with me. This video segment today, I am going to be talking about the earth-based elements such as earth, wind, water, and fire. I mean, there's a whole lot more elements that come to play in our lives in magic and spirituality and metaphysicalism and the occult, but basically for a basic understanding, especially for a lot of you guys who literally aren't fully experienced, I'm going to be discussing the earth-based elements to kind of like give a good footnote and a good solid ground to start on and to build upon. So let's start with the first element in the direction of. They also each have their own directions as well: north, east, south, and west. So let's start with Earth being the north element. The properties of Earth consist of grounding, obviously, you know what I mean? And which grounding, especially if you're getting into practices, if you're getting into rituals, if you're getting into spiritual communication, any form of spiritual, anytime you're dealing with energy that isn't your own energy, always recommended to be grounded. So you can do things for that with Earth, including one of the most potent ways is walking outside in the grass barefoot. Earth also is the element that brings order, it brings structure, and it is also quite quintessential as well of an element for manifestation as well as prosperity. And with prosperity, the reason why it's used in prosperity, going to approach it in a scientific aspect, because of prosperity and structure. When you plant a seed, let's say, when you plant a seed, you're planting a seed to grow something. It's growing in the earth. The plant of whatever you're planting, whether it's a tree, a vegetable, herbs, flowers, it's all part of earth and it's all a representation of earth is, prosperity and structure property. And then, oh, wait, let's see. And then the next element we're going to go with the east element, which is the element of air. And air is a really good element because air is used for separation. Like when you see like the wind coming in and it's like kind of like dividing everything apart, like the debris, that is, the act of, wind or air being used for separation. It's also used for movement. And think about it this way in the aspect of movement. Like when you see a leaf or a piece of paper, feather, something like that in the air, it doesn't just land straight down. It moves in the direction of the wind as it's landing down. So, we have movement, we have the, flow of exchange. Again, as things are moving and forward, as far as like energy working goes, air is the element that keeps the exchange of energy in the movement that it's going. And then after that, we are going to the south for one of my favorite elements, fire. And fire is one of the elements fire consumes, it warms, it illuminates, and it brings pain and death as well, because with all elements in general, there's the positive side of them as the negative side. Like like with earth, you know what I mean? Yeah, I said the positive aspects of earth, but the negative aspect of earth too is, pretty much like, and this tends to happen when you're like mixing, when you tend to like mix elements in the wrong way, where like, let's say like you jump off a rooftop and you crash to the ground and you're badly injured. You know what I mean? That's damage from earth per se. Crashing, getting buried, suffocation. That pretty much like comes from that's also pretty much like one of the negative side effects of earth. With fire, I swear like the damage that can come from air would be more along the lines of, losing yourself, not knowing your way, getting, you know what I mean? Getting drifted to the wrong direction. That's one of the negative side effects of air. And with fire, it's obviously getting burned, pain, death, incinerated, but fire is also great for lighting your way, for showing your path, for awakening your consciousness as well. So fire is great for that as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to drift off of fire subject because I just remembered I forgot to mention the negatives of the other two elements. And then after fire, we are going to another element that contradicts fire. That element is the element of water. Water is used for purification, for cleansing. Water is used for communication. Water is used for protection as well as healing. You know, and water also brings destruction and death. Think about like by destruction and death, like think about like the massive floods that happened, you know, the massive floods that happen, the typhoons, tsunamis, all those cause destruction and all those have caused death, as well as people have been drowned by water. You can drown someone in 1 inch of water. So that's why another reason why water is also like one of the most dangerous elements as well. And to kind of think about it this way, think about it in the balancing aspect. Okay. So with as positive as an element can be is also just as easily as negative that same element can be. There's no positive without a negative. And these elements come to play. The four core elements that I just mentioned right now of earth, air, fire, and water. Those four elements that come into play, they're actually, they have their alchemic value, obviously, with alchemy, because with the topic of alchemy that we discussed with, let me pull up my alchemy notes real fast. Da, 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 da. With alchemy, you know what I mean? Like, speaking of the polarity and the cause and effect aspect of alchemy is where even the elemental energies have a core of alchemy in them, because like I said, with the positive being just as potent as the negative and vice versa, that still is a part of alchemy. So again, it's for those of you guys who say, who think that like just because you do magic, it's not alchemy, going by principle of alchemy, yeah, every single energy, including the basic elemental energies that are the stepping stone for us to get into other energies, the four, primary energies like that are still in fact connected to alchemy. So, well, I don't say connected, I pretty much, like, how I view it and how I perceive it is alchemy is the center of the core of those energies. So, we covered the four basic elemental topics, and I explained how I explained their alchemic core in them as well. But also you can combine these elements as well to make new things, like example, or like I like to do as well, like when it comes with a tarot deck, is I like to, and as well as doing certain workings, is I like to mix certain elements, that go well together. Like example, like with my tarot cards, I'll mix the swords suit with the wands suit, swords being wind, wands being fire, because fire fire kind of like gets fueled by air. So when you do that, you're increasing the fire aspect of it. And then also I'll mix the earth suits being pentacles, with the cup suit being water, and water and earth, you know what I mean, is pretty much like the fundamental to bringing life. With water and earth, that's how plants grow, that's how plants thrive, that's how plants survive. That's just a little, that's just a little, that's just like a little thing that I like to do. So, pretty much this is the topic of discussing elements. It does get further than this, but we'll get into that as we go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great day.